craft brews and casual conversations. My name is, what's my name? I forget. Dolores?
Atifa.
My name is Dolores, and I'm going to tell you a very scary story. One about a man who went to the grocery store one time in the search for the golden liquid. And it was such a scary tale, young sire, because when he went there to the liquor store, there was none.
Oh my.
Yes, I have an effect on my voice to make it echo, to add dramatic effect.
Ooh.
It's not on yours, it's only on mine right now.
I didn't want it to be on mine.
Do you want it to be on yours? What's your name?
I am merely a observer listener to.
But now it's on your voice. I have all the power. Here's the twist, young sir. I knew that man was looking for the golden liquid that is called beer, and I took it away from the store because I am a reptile. And this is dudes with brews on a porch.
Cue that intro.
Dudes with Brews on a Porch presents to you another edition of Strange Brews, Conspiracies, Murder, Ghost Stories, Aliens. They're all coming to get you, my dears.
Well, that was weird.
Yeah.
Dolores is a
Not
lady.
your standard reptilian.
She's not like a neighbor. She's like one of those ones that we share a backyard, not really a neighbor, but she's kind of there. She pops up from time to time and says weird things. So thanks for that, Dolores. Robert, hello.
Hello.
How are you this fine day?
Good. It's a good day today.
Was it a good day today? You look very dapper.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
So,
I got my Dudes with Brews sweatshirt on.
and you got a button up on,
Yeah, and I have a button up on.
and that's a nice jacket. I think I have that same jacket.
It's a nice jacket.
Same brand at least, because I have that symbol on it. Did you steal that jacket from me?
No.
Okay, good. Robert, well, welcome to October.
October is here.
Here it is. It's a good month. I like October because not only is it the Strange Brew stuff, it's also Halloween stuff. And I like Halloween stuff. And you like Halloween stuff, I think.
I do.
And what better way to celebrate the start of October than with an Oktoberfest beer? Oktoberfest doesn't really coincide with Halloween, I don't think.
No,
Not really.
I don't think so.
More of a celebration. But to kick things off,
They have Spooktoberfest now.
Yeah. For this great.
We should have Spocktoberfest, and it's all about Spock logic and lack of emotion, dry humor, no humor. What is laughing? It's a weakness.
Is that what he says?
No, I don't think so. I got more into the next gen, so I'm more of a data guy. I mean, I love Spock, but I know more about Data. He's a robot.
Okay.
Beep boop.
It's all boring. Anyways, we're drinking. That's my opinion, of course, not the opinion of millions of Americans and people all across the globe. We are drinking an Oktoberfest style beer, which I said before, from Badger State Brewing Company from the great state of Wisconsin, which we happen to reside in. It's called Okt-ski. It's a limited release for their first ever Oktoberfest, Rob. Okt-ski is a nice fall amber with a little Badger State oomph. Prost, they say. Prost, which is the German word for like, hell yeah, celebrate and stuff like that. Right?
I'm going to take your word for it.
You speak German?
No.
Neither do I.
I just learned a German word.
Prost?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. You got it. So, let's describe it. It's very golden in hue.
It's very golden. Got a golden amber hue.
This looks like, just like a real deal. Like you go to the bartender on a nice fall evening and you're like, bartender, I need to drown my worries. I need to sink my sorrows. For today was not the day that I was hoping it would be. My wife left, my kids are gone, and my dog ran out in the street and died. What you got? And he goes, Prost. And you're like, what do you mean? Why would you celebrate that? I don't know. But yeah, at least that didn't happen to you. At least, well, it did happen to you, but not to you. You weren't the dog and all that, and you're here, and you got your thing, and here you go.
I celebrate life.
That's right.
My
So
life.
It's
Looks kind of like Jello to me. Like it's got that. Like look at the hue of it as the light comes through it. Doesn't it kind of look like how Jello looks when you put light through it?
yeah, I think
Like,
so.
Yeah, it's kind of it's so clear. It's so crisp looking.
It is crisp looking. It's not. I would say it would represent that of like a medium pumpkin-y beer kind of.
Yeah,
But no pumpkin's taste to it. That's coming later though. We got later this month. We got pumpkin beers, bro. Let's try it.
Can't wait.
Delicious. That is the classic amber ale right there, if I do say so myself.
Yeah,
Classic taste.
nothing. A little bitter up front.
Yeah, it's not too. It's not. It's not trying to be anything that it isn't, Rob. It take it for what it is. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, it says I am a beer and I'm proud.
Prost.
Yeah.
So, Strange Brew edition here. We talking reptilians. You have some information on the reptilian race and how they are.
Well, I wouldn't.
Let's give a history on it or whatever. Do what you do.
Let's. Yeah,
You have the info.
We won't call it the reptilian because there's a couple different alleys to go down. But
All right.
in light of a couple articles I just read about a potential planet outside of Pluto that is pretty large.
Pluto's not a planet anymore, correct?
Yeah, they didn't call Pluto a planet, but they still call the rock Pluto.
Well, Pluto originally, has always been a planet in our books.
As far as I know, it's a planet half the time.
Okay.
Because the thing that creates a planet is atmosphere, and when it gets to a certain point in its orbit, it no longer is emitting gases. Like you can see the atmosphere through certain, I don't know, scientisty thingies that they use. I'm not one of them. I just read an article.
So it's planet fluid.
Sometimes
it's a planet,
So it's at through half its orbit, it has an atmosphere. Through the other half, it doesn't. That's a very general statement. Like that's a very generalized, layman down explanation, I think. But either way, beyond Pluto, they're thinking that there's a planet out there that's like the size of Neptune, I think it said.
Okay.
So just because that's interesting in and of itself,
Right.
I thought maybe we could talk about Zecharia Sitchin's theory of the Anunnaki, who were not reptilians, but they were large aliens that, according to Zecharia Sitchin's theory and the ancient Sumerian texts that he decoded and figured out, they created us. They created humanity.
Okay.
And they did that so that we could mine gold for them.
Yeah.
And I believe this is where the theory can kind of split, because there's actually two theories that are very similar.
Yeah.
There's the Anunnaki theory, and then there's a reptilian theory as well, where they're both the same in the sense that they're planets with super elliptical orbits that take them way far away, so they don't come near Earth again for thousands of years. I think it's 2,300 years for the Anunnaki. Thought it was a little bit more for the reptilian, but I couldn't. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
But either way, so apparently, way back when, I think the Sumerians were, 6,000 years ago?
I don't know.
Let's just say, don't quote me on that either.
All right.
They came here and because they needed our resources, they needed gold to somehow infuse into their atmosphere, because their super elliptical orbit was going to take them so close to the sun that they need to put gold into their atmosphere to reflect the sun so that they don't die. But who wants to mine gold? It sucks. Have you ever watched Gold Rush, Drew?
No.
Well, it looks hard. I've watched it.
Of course you have.
But so they said, look at these hairy beasts on this planet.
These nomads.
Yeah. They're just playing with themselves and eating leaves and stuff. Let's give them some of our DNA, and we'll create the perfect race to mine gold for us. And that's what they did, and now here we are.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that's a really short version of the theory. But so every 2,300 years, they come back around, and they pick up gold, and they change our species a little bit based on the behaviors of the things that they find wrong with the earlier model.
Sure.
Now, what's crazy about that is like,
could coronavirus be an update then?
it totally could be.
Really?
If you actually really, if you think about this theory can get like, this theory can intertwine with Christianity. It intertwines with human history in a way that, so Noah is one of the flood in the ark.
Yeah.
Was one of the ways of wiping out the old
people,
the old genetically engineered apes that were not sophisticated because they were too unruly. They weren't.
Sure.
They were lazy, or they just complained too much. Which it's in like ancient religious texts that the gods, quote unquote, felt that us humans were too noisy and we complained too much and we should just get wiped out. And that's where eventually like the flood came, and then Noah was actually if you look back into Noah, didn't have a father. Mm-hmm. He was an immaculate conception. So then you wipe out, and he starts the next genetically modified race. Now I don't know when Noah happened. Do you know more about Noah than I do?
Our friend Noah? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I guess you've hung out with him more than me.
Not about biblical Noah, no.
Yeah, so I feel like Noah was...
I mean, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Noah's great-grandfather was Enoch.
Enoch?
And I'm trying to think if Enoch was before or after Jesus.
Yeah, he would have to... Wait, no.
No, because Adam was... Right. Yeah, Adam and Eve were way before Jesus. And,
right.
Well, either way, so like you look at every 2,300 years from Noah, and then there's like the bubonic plague was also a potential wipeout of like the bad part of our species to allow like the stronger humans to do what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. With this new planet that they found, we might be coming up on a 2,300 year mark.
Yeah.
It is. It was 2,000 years ago that Jesus was born, immaculate birth. That changed kind of the world. Yeah, and led a lot of people down his ideology. And so here we are, almost 2,300 years later, and there's this new planet that they are potentially finding, and it's kind of scary, kind of interesting.
So I guess what else? Explain more. So they. They're just we're solely here just to mine gold for these entities, these beings, and give it to them to make sure they stay alive.
Essentially,
keep their resources flowing. So how is that related to reptilians? So
that's like the reptilian theory. I don't know how the quote like the so-called DNA of these theories got crossed, because
mostly like with the reptilian stuff, it's kind of like higher caliber, quote unquote higher caliber people, famous people, tend to kind of like Illuminati-esque type of being. Correct.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. One of the big differences in these theories is that the Anunnaki, they come back around and they don't know, they don't really know what happens for the 2,300 years that they're on their orbit.
Okay, so it's they're just traveling essentially, waiting like they're
on their planet.
It takes 2,300 years for them to get the shit from us, bring it to them, and get back here.
Yeah.
Okay.
To use it on that round, and then they pick it up again before Whereas the reptilian theory, reptilians are infiltrating our society, our high culture, our politics, any powerful industry, and they look like us, and they're trying to take over the planet.
Well, do you think maybe they are the Anunnaki folks have done that? They've planted some reptilian-esque people to slowly take over because they're like, these people aren't doing well enough for us.
I mean, I the part of like, I think there's a couple schools of thought on. I'm sorry, I lost track of what you were saying because Barry was whining outside. So Drew is now letting Barry back in, but man, it really is hard to do this with nobody in the room with you. Let's just talk about the reptilians while Drew's out of the room, because there is part of this idea that I've seen, and there's so many different facets to the reptilian theory that it's impossible to actually nail it down, because I think it's got to be thousands and thousands of different people that just kind of create an off branch of the theory based on something they've seen or something that somebody's created and they think is real. But there is an idea that even the reptilians are terraforming the planet to become more like a planet that they can live on, and then they don't have to worry about their atmosphere. And that's what like this why there's deregulation in carbon. Our carbon footprints and what we put into the atmosphere and global warming, because they will live better in that climate than humans will, and eventually we will die off and they will continue living. So it's like that's why they've infiltrated our political system, so that they can change the laws, and that will eventually like raise the temperature on our planet, which is what they want in the long run.
Well, that's what they're doing right now, the global warming.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
But and the audience knows that you left the room for a second.
A little winded.
Yeah.
He got caught under the trampoline.
That's yes.
And I had to catch him. He didn't get caught. The leash got caught.
I think the reptilians did that just to
They knew we were talking about this.
Yeah.
So why I guess with the reptilians, I don't know if you know this, but like you're saying, it's politicians and stuff like that. But it's also like Mark Zuckerberg, actors.
It's any powerful. Yeah, it's like
any powerful floor.
Anybody that can create change on the planet and influence people. Which there's like, and what I was saying before is it's like with the reptilian theory, if you look up reptilians, there's like thousands of different facets to that theory that are all. It's not all the same theory, but it all ties in together based on what like this person thinks and this person thinks and this. But when you get into the planet theory, that planet that's on a weird elliptical orbit and comes around every so often.
Yeah.
That's one theory that kind of led to I don't know if it led to, but it intertwines with a bunch of other theories about reptilians, and I don't really believe in the reptilian theory.
Why?
But because everything I've seen on it, like, you know, and I don't look into that theory so much, but have you ever seen the videos? Have you ever looked into, if you look up a video of a reptilian, like reptilian disguise blown, or
no,
or Kellyanne Conway shows her lizard eyes, or something like that. Like, there's these videos of like a news anchor and their eyes look like reptilian eyes, or all of a sudden part of their cheek kind of shows some scales, and then it sucks back into like a human cheek, and it's like that stuff can be so easily done in post that it's hard for me to go down that wormhole. The reason I do kind of believe in the Anunnakis is because like when it comes, I don't know necessarily think it was 6,000 years ago. I think it was a lot longer ago than that they actually started this little project, and I don't know if it was over gold or not, but there's actually ancient documentation from the Sumerians that outlines who the Anunnaki are, why they came, why they created us, and that technically, like, they are aliens, but they are also gods because they created us in their image.
Yeah.
We are a hybrid of them and ape creatures and them, you know? So it's like, that's where the whole ancient alien theory kind of came out of, was Zecharia Sitchin's work on the Sumerian language, which if you've ever looked at a Sumerian clay tablet, I don't know how anybody could decipher it. It's insane. It's just a bunch of lines.
Yeah.
But I guess so is English when you really break it down.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about the jump in the evolution of humanity,
yeah,
it is really hard to explain why we jump so quickly from one thing to another while every other species on the planet takes a long time to gain intelligence or gain some change that helps them live in a certain climate.
How would they? I mean, so you're talking about there's a show, Gold Hunters or whatever the fuck it's called.
Gold Rush.
Oh yeah, gold. That makes sense. How are they? They don't know about that. They don't know about that show. That there's a show profiting off of their search for their resources.
No, I don't think so.
So how would we? I guess if coronavirus were part of the case, how would they know? How would they know? Oh, we're going to give them coronavirus, or was this like, hey, we gotta start weeding them out slowly but surely, and we're gonna at this point in time, a virus is gonna hit them and people and do this, and then we're gonna swoop in and see how it's going.
Well, I mean, I guess the coronavirus thing. I think if it was something that was actually,
we're not joking. We're not trying to dismiss.
Not
happening.
Not at all. No, but if the bubonic plague, which there's actually eyewitness accounts of creatures on the outskirts of town, actually spraying mist and flying saucers spraying mist that would the wind would bring it into a town, and then there'd be a huge outbreak of bubonic plague.
Yeah.
There is no bubonic plagues killed 75 million people in a decade or in within the course of 25 years or 50 years or something.
Bubonic plague?
Yeah.
Recently?
No, back in the Dark Ages.
It killed a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, I know it killed. Yeah, so it wiped out a quarter or a third of the world's population, and that to me screams okay, we're trying to get rid of a bunch of people that are not smart or not this or whatever. It hits certain parts of the society, whereas with Corona, though it is deadly, it's not deadly enough for me to believe it's an alien
force.
Yeah, I think it was just an unfortunate situation that we found ourselves in.
So will this tie into the fact of, and we could tie it in a little bit, in addition with this new planet, NASA recently came out not that long ago and admitted, yeah, UFOs are real.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Shit's in the sky, and we don't know what it is. It's truly an unidentified flying object.
They're getting us ready, man.
Getting us ready for it. Do you think the government knows about this shit?
Absolutely, they have to. Okay, so when you talk about where this gold, okay, you said the gold rush guys, they probably don't know, right? That the gold that they're mining is going alien. No, they don't. They know that the government or the Fed is going to pay them money for the gold.
Yeah,
and just okay, so right now the government is in charge. Back 2,000 years ago, the church was in charge. And that they had gold statue and
right.
All the gold went to the church, and now all the gold is with the Fed. But they won't even no. There's a whole theory about whether Fort Knox even has any gold in it. We might have already sent it to the other planet.
They're supposed to have Fort Knox is supposed to have gold.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about Fort Knox. Don't we? Wait, where's that?
I don't know where it is. Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
That's a completely random guess, but Fort Knox is definitely it's a very secure building that you can't even roll up on without getting stopped, and that's at the outermost perimeter.
Yeah, just like Area 51.
And there is there's a whole group of people that are convinced there's no gold in Fort Knox anymore, and it goes back to because we're not on the gold standard anymore.
No, right.
So what does it even matter?
Right.
But it is still a precious metal, and that this is the reason why every theory has the pros and cons, where it's especially these conspiracy theories where it's okay, this could be why gold is so valuable, because it's actually a way for our government to buy their own safety and their lives back from the aliens when they come back around. Mm-hmm. And they're the most powerful people. So the people who have the gold are the people who are going to live. So that's why they they don't care about anything except for getting that, you know?
Yeah.
But on the other side, the side that says, no, we mine gold and it's valuable because it doesn't rust. It's easily malleable. You can turn it into just about anything. You can make it flat. You can make it thick. It's heavy. It doesn't rust. There's like so many, like gold is a really interesting metal.
Yeah.
So it's like, it kind of, the problem with conspiracy theories that actually stick around is there's reasons to believe them, but then there's reasons to dispute them.
Right.
And then it leaves you up in the air going, well, I guess I just got to believe what I want to believe.
Pretty much. But I think you might be onto something, Rob, especially like, why now? Why do they pick, did they pick the time, like, because did they announce it during the COVID stuff, right? That the UFOs are real. I
didn't make note of the date.
I think it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't very long ago.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah, things are about to get crazy.
Do you think on top of a worldwide pandemic, on top of, at least in this country, a polarizing political campaigns of both varieties, of both sides or whatever, the two main sides you could say, do you think that we are on the verge of a world race, like a world War of the Worlds type deal?
I mean, when I hear our president talk about how we've got weapons that no other country even...
I believe him on that.
I do too. And this is why, if you trace back to Roswell...
Yeah.
Roswell, obviously, we got a UFO, if you want to believe that. Me personally, I believe there was definitely a UFO there based on how everything happened. Bob Lazar reverse engineered that craft and created the reverse vortex engine or a vortex engine based on it. But you couldn't run it without plasma energy. So that sat for a long time with people kind of stumped and didn't know what to do. Then we go to the moon and we find helium-3 on the moon. And fast forward a little bit later, and at UW-Madison, they find out that helium-3 can be fused with itself to create plasma energy, liquid plasma, which you can use for this vortex engine. And that wasn't that long ago that they figured that out. And then like when you look into nanotechnology, which is like super strong carbon nanotubes that they can basically build anything out of.
Yeah.
And you put those three things together, and that's a UFO right there. Like carbon nano technology that creates the hull that can go at high speeds, like high velocity through high heat, with the velocity vortex engine, with the fuel source that we know we can get abundantly on our moon, and we have a space force, possible alien society coming from this big planet, and I think we've got UFOs that would rival what we think is coming. Granted, they've had 2,300 years to advance as well,
right?
But it's still interesting in my book that like.
So in a sense, if this led to a war of the worlds, essentially what is happening is creation is going against its creator.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yeah. And I think we should just embrace it. And one of us should start calling ourselves Luke, and the other one should call himself Han.
and see who shoots first.
Yeah, and we'll see who shoots first. But it definitely won't be Han.
It will always be Han. Han's a killer.
He's a fair man.
He's a killer until the very end of the first new Star Wars.
The first new Star Wars after the old Star Wars?
It's the first new Star Wars after the other new Star Wars, but only after the old one.
Only if you discount the other new Star Wars.
Okay, so there's 3 Star Wars. There's like 3 trilogies, right?
3 Wars of the Stars or 3 Star Wars?
I don't know. There's a lot of Star Wars. There's a lot of wars and stuff. But when we're talking modern era Star Wars, like New Age Star Wars. Well, I forget what the first one was called. Force
Episode
Awakens.
1.
No, yeah, no. The Force Awakens, right?
I think it was The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and then
Rise of the Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so have you seen The Force Awakens?
Yes, but I don't remember it.
Well, Han dies at the end.
Okay, I do remember that.
His son kills him.
Yep.
And then he goes, "You should have admitted you shot first," and stabs him with the lightsaber.
See, I don't remember that.
And then when he falls in the tunnel. He goes, "It was me."
See, that's crazy. The movie must be filmed the way because I didn't hear him get asked if he shot first, but I did hear in his dying breath him go, "I shot second."
Whoa! And the tree.
I just translated in my head that was Chewie saying, "I saw it."
I saw it. He's telling the truth.
Yeah, but they never take a Wookiee's word.
Yeah, Wookiees are loyal, very loyal.
That movie did make me tear up at one spot, and that was when Han Solo got reunited with the Millennium Falcon. Wasn't a huge fan of that movie, but I did tear up. Like that, it literally made me made both my eyes. I was tearing out of my ears. That's how. That's an ear infection, Rob.
I saw. I didn't see Rise of the Skywalker, and I don't really want to.
I didn't see it either.
The second one was. I mean,
I started watching The Mandalorian the other day.
I've watched one episode. I got to rewatch. I've heard it's really good.
I heard it's really good too. Yeah.
Do you know that?
Is that who that guy was? Is he blue?
Bill, I don't know. No, he's not a main guy in it. He's
there was a guy in the first episode that I was trying to figure out who it was.
Oh, that's not Bill Burr. No.
Okay.
He's not until later, but anyways, so in the roughly 30 minutes that we've been talking, we have combined, and I think we're at the bottom of it, or should we say the top of it? We know now that there's an alien race coming soon, and they are on the verge of starting a new war that we're aware of that they're coming. We're using their technology against them, and that we're using their devices to blow them up. And also, as their creations, we're turning them against them. It's a real life Frankenstein situation.
Yeah, and I think
we are the monster.
And I think that by broadcasting this episode, we're really throwing humanity under the bus, because I'm sure that they're going to intercept it. I mean, they must listen to Dudes with Brews, right? Wouldn't
that be something?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd feel bad, but I mean, we got to get content out there. I mean,
every week they'll be like, well, a couple of weeks ago they talked about this movie Pledge. We watched that, and then they talked about Battle Scars. We watched that, and based on those two movies alone, we have decided that we are going to eliminate the human, and not because they're bad, but just because they're onto us, and they're
highly deceptive.
They're normalizing themselves by watching things where people are getting killed and stuff, and they're normalizing that into their lives, meaning that they're turning into killing machines, and they're going to use rats against us.
Yes, and our creations cannot be creators,
right?
You know, we don't want our toasters creating anything but toast.
That's true.
You know,
you want to know something?
I mean, you'd unplug your toaster if it started making mini lasers.
You want to know something? For a gift that we got like they did some like shower thing or whatever, because I'm getting married, so we get the
bridal shower.
Yeah, for whatever reason, people buy gifts before the wedding, assuming that the wedding's still going to happen.
That must be that. Yeah, that must be on her. Like you're. Yeah. Okay.
But you said, we just want a toaster to make toast. We got a toaster oven. It's also an air fryer.
Watch out. Watch that thing.
It's great. I love it very much. Air fryers. That's just you ever used an air fryer?
I've never used one. I've eaten food that's been made in one.
It's great.
It's good.
It's healthier for you. They say.
It's because it uses air.
Uses air.
We need air.
And it fries it.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting indeed.
There's so much more to these theories too, that if you want to look into what Zecharia Sitchin, he wrote a book, but it really did sparked the ancient alien theory, which is obviously now a popular show that kind of pushes the theory a little too far. I mean, let's be honest. They think that vampires and everything were aliens.
Vampires?
Yeah.
Really?
Vampires, zombies, all those theories came out of alien activity.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to get content. I like the show at the beginning. I like the theory.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you got to look at something and say, maybe this one's on us. It's not on aliens. It's not otherworldly.
Yeah.
This is just on humans and our weird brains that try and create patterns or whatever.
Right.
But either way, it's still an interesting thing to look into. And if our strange brews do anything, I hope it sparks curiosity in our listeners to look into some stuff that they maybe didn't know about, and then they can prove us wrong on our information. Email us and say, hey, this thing that you said, I just looked it up and you were wrong.
Dudesonaporch@gmail.com, your opportunity to do that. You can also follow us on Instagram at Dudes with Brews Pod. Hit us up on Twitter at Dudes on a Porch. Facebook, like it. But Twitter's a little better. Twitter and Instagram, that's where you need to be, in my opinion. But yeah, I like these ideas, Rob. I like where you're going with the stuff. You are very well educated on these things.
It's interesting to me.
Yes.
Definitely look into Bob Lazar, because that dude's story is insane.
Dan Aykroyd, I think, knows Bob Lazar, or knew. Is Bob Lazar dead?
I don't think so, but if he is, it's recently, like within the last 5 years, I want to say that he died.
Yeah.
I feel like I did listen to a Coast to Coast where, because he was, I think he was friends with George Norrie, or he had been on the show before.
Yeah.
But they tried to cover him up big time. But like with the discovery that helium-3 can be fused with itself, that's a huge break in like the idea of, like, everything we talked about still branches out even further, because with the helium-3 being on the moon, then you get into the fact that there's a whole group of people that believe that there's structures on the moon, aliens on the moon. What would they be doing on the moon? And that would be mining helium-3, because you can fuse it with itself to create plasmic energy, which runs the engines that UFOs use to create the velocities and the things that they do. I mean,
he did an episode of Rogan. Bob Lazar.
Yeah. He's been on Coast to Coast. I'm sure he's been on Rogan. Like, they tried to erase him from his graduating class in college, his high school, his job, because he blew the whistle on the government before there was even a term whistleblower, really.
Yeah.
But back then it was easier to, instead of having to go, this is the whistleblower, he's the bad guy, whatever, like what they do now. Back then they just literally deleted his entire resume so that they could discredit him as some crazy dude. Mm-hmm. And whenever anybody looked him up, because back then it was like files, it wasn't the internet. They were just like, oh, you say you went to MIT. There's no record of you going to MIT, so you must be some crazy dude.
Yeah.
But, he might have created the entire space program. We might learn that in 30 years, that Bob Lazar's engine that he reverse engineered from the UFO at Roswell, or other UFOs that we've had, is what led to the Space Force. And someday we might find out that we have UFOs, and that's why there's more UFO sightings right now, is because they're test planes. We'll find out when the aliens come, I guess.
You think it'd be pretty soon, or do you think we got like a couple hundred years yet?
I think we probably got 100 years at least.
So we'll be dead.
Yeah.
That's good.
All of us will be, probably.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the joke be on them if they came back and it was just like the planet was just gone? Like the planet was an empty husk.
We were instinctively like, shit.
So we'd take out two planets if we did, because then they'd have to, how much time do you think they'd have to get the gold?
Interesting. Well, Rob, I think this is a good discussion.
Yeah.
I think you gave us a lot to look into. And you really guided this episode, and I'm proud of you for it.
Thank you.
You say you don't know what to say sometimes, and that when we do interviews, you don't know what to ask or when to ask. But I think you can do it.
Well, this time a
simple tap on my leg.
We threw out a couple topics like right before we did this episode. So like this one we kind of pulled out. But it is such interesting stuff that like it pulls you down so many different rabbit holes if you look into it, because and to me, that's what makes it almost more credible, is the fact that the more you look into one, it leads you to this next one, and then this next one. So these separate theories that people have, and people are called crazy for believing there's aliens on the moon. People are called crazy for believing in Bob Lazar. People are called crazy for believing in Roswell. People are called crazy for believing in the ancient Sumerian texts and the Anunnaki. But they actually, if you track them from the beginning point to now, they all fall in line with each other. And it's like a big giant puzzle that makes sense.
I fall in the, you say some people are called crazy for thinking this, crazy for thinking that. Some people are even called spooky. Like Spooky Mulder.
Yeah.
David Duchovny.
I wish I would be called spooky. Not tall enough.
I wish David would call me spooky.
Oh. Putting that on the bucket list.
Oh yes. All right, Rob. Well, we got more stuff coming up this month, and we're gonna enjoy a lot of beer and have good fun. We drank this week Okt-ski from Badger State Brewing Company in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It is a cool little can. And it's a good Oktoberfest beer. I enjoyed it. Drink it or dump it.
I drank it.
I drank it as well. And I'll, spoiler alert, we drank this before.
Was this at the fire?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good then. It's good now.
Sure is. It's an overall good beer. Celebrate Oktoberfest by drinking an Oktoberfest beer and also liking dudes with brews on a porch.
Watch the skies.
Pew pew audio. Goodbye, everyone.